The content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. And please, feel free to share the video. Thank you. What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good, everybody? What's happening, y'all? I'm the G with a PhD, man, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chasers. So, if you're not into hearing things every now and then that might seem to be off-putting, well, you need to put yourself somewhere else, because we keep it 100 over here. Keep it absolutely positively 100. But I also want to say to all of the listeners and the followers out there, I apologize, because the last few days, the broadcast or the stream has been really terrible. Absolutely awful, horrendous. And I apologize for that. I switched over to using a new format. I was using StreamYard. Now I'm using a program called OBS. And all I can say is, I'm sorry. Trying to work it out and figure it out and to make sure the settings are right and all that, it took a little bit of effort and energy. So I apologize. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can hear me, put a 1 in the description box or the chat box. Please, let me know if you can hear me and you hear me loud and clear and you don't hear any echoes or distortions, or you don't hear any glitching or robotics, please put a 1 out there so I can know that. Because it's just been horrendous lately, man. It's been screwed up, been fucked up, man. I apologize for that, man. So I think I got things worked out, and hopefully you won't have to experience what you have been experiencing in the last 3 or 4 streams that I've done. But I also will say this, I think I am about to ditch StreamYard altogether, because it's a middleman. And right now I'm streaming directly into YouTube Studio. I'm not fucking around with StreamYard right now, because they create all kinds of problems. First, you have to encode the information to StreamYard, which then in turn encodes the information and siphons it off to YouTube. I'm cutting out the middleman, you know, so I apologize for that. I really and truly do. So hopefully everything looks decent. There aren't any glitches. There aren't any, you know, vocal robotics. So that's what I'm trying to get that straight. So another thing that I want to do, like I always do, is to give a shout out to the members of the Green Gorilla channel. So let's start that process. Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to Omni Americana, Deanne, Donald Watts, Barry Little, Ryan Jackson, hiphop.catv, Black Crizzard ADOS, Coach DC, The Remedy, Kashif Caldwell, Infamous Chillin', I Am Black Man, John Reeves Too Much, Nichita. Man, every time I come to this word, it's Russian. And I looked up how to pronounce it on Google. I'm not quite sure, but he's a black back gorilla. He gives me, you know, a quarter every month. So I want to be able to pronounce this name correctly. Nichita, okay? Leroy Honeycutt, True King 337, B Hillfire, Forrest Windu, Michael Cavanis. And Michael, he got on me the other day, man. He was like, you're giving me a hard eye. Brother, I hope I got it right. Michael Cavanis, Urban Nomad, Barnolas, Kyle J. Sura, I'm Just Jules, The Book of Ronin, Ab Media 83, Damon Harris, Brian McMurray, Mr. Lou Meth, TD Hip Hop Media, Drew Main, Shop Talk Live, The Face, Mr. Heat, David the Man, Afro Analyst, NEU, Ronan Martin, Isa Abdul Zahir, Sir Anthony, Deshaun Nolly, ML Law, Charles Rogers, Black Dog, Universal 178, Black Swerve 404, Rashid Barnes, Aaron Smith, DH, C-Truth the Revelator, Gold Professor, The Nameless Protagonist, Black Pill Net Stark, Author Unknown, Odd Collard, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Brian Williams, Kalan Jakala, Sherrod Martin, Ricky Dawson, Cedric Bowman, True 7360, BK Born Shaheed, James Washington, Hostile Adept, Seventh Coast Dojo, W Pure One, Roguish the Billmonger, I Care, Lady Miss Thing Green, BGS Ivmore, and Marvin Battle Jr. And I'd also like to give a shout out to all of the people who support me on Patreon. Victor A. Coach, Dragon 59, D. Smitty, Supreme Ivmore, Adrian Hicks, Jay Bailey, Mr. Michi, NEU twice. Let me give him a Funk Master Flex bomb for that. Give a shout out to Mo Mal, William Ruffin, what's up, dog? And Asangwa. So that pretty much covers all the bases. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. I'd like to give y'all a round of applause for that. Straight up, on the real. I can't do nothing but show y'all love for that, man. Thank you so much for the support. And thank you for being patient with me as I make this transition to this different format. I apologize, man. It's growing pains, you know? Growing pains. But, so anyway, man, you know, I'm also doing a campaign on Indiegogo called The White People Are Black People. And it's still not too late. It's not looking good for the campaign right now. We're not even at 25% of our goal. It's not looking like it should. And, you know, I don't want to force brothers to do anything that they don't want to do or to make any commitments that they don't want to make. I don't. But if you can, please support the campaign, okay? And it's still not too late. So if you're wondering what the context of the campaign is, well, here it is right here. I'll show you a trailer, and then you can make up your own mind.
Black male studies started off as an academic argument. I thought I was making an intervention into history by just trying to show people that black men were victims of rape during slavery and Jim Crow. And it was just that. It was only that. Just an academic argument. Until I started actually meeting black men who were victims of rape, who were raped by their mother's friends, teenage girls, or other men who lived in their own neighborhoods. Your whole life changes when you hear grown black men holding back tears or speaking through the pain of physical, sexual, or domestic abuse at the hands of black men and women who should have loved them, cared for them, or at the most basic level, not harmed them.
So you see it, man. It's still not too late. So I would encourage you, if you can, I know times are hard out here, but if you can make a contribution, please do so. Now, I guess it's about time for me to jump into what I'm supposed to be doing this afternoon, because it's not this evening yet. It ain't 6 o'clock yet. And by the way, good afternoon to all of y'all. Peace out to all of y'all. Much joy and good tidings to all of y'all. I hope y'all all in good health and you're taking care of your mental, physical, and spiritual wealth. But let me transition to what it is I'm about to get into, man, and leave it at that. So ultimately what I want to do is have a discussion about this article I came across, and it's called "The Prophets Explores Black Love and Memory in a Time of Trauma." Okay, this is New York Times. Okay, and as far as I'm concerned, you know, the whole subject matter about black politics today, if you don't know, it's just a politics of black people turning in on each other. And you know, one of the predominant narratives is a narrative which paints black men as the white people of black people. And here you have a perfect example of how that plays out within the context of this new novel, a piece of fiction that's been created. And, you know, what's also interesting is, you know, I was watching Star Trek Discovery the other day, and you see the same themes playing out. Right? I mean, ultimately, freedom consists in making sure that certain segments of the black population or diverse communities are uplifted. And everyone's supposed to sit back while this occurs and not have any ambition or desire to better or empower themselves if they're not a member of these groups. Now, I don't know how it became popular or how it became commonplace to situate black men in a position of privilege, but conceptually, ideologically, it's happening in the academy. You're seeing it represented in art. You're seeing it represented in the media. It's everywhere, okay? Now, and this picture, man, check out the picture. It's a picture of two men, and we know that these men are supposed to be slaves because the story, which is The Prophets, which I assume is in reference to these people. I don't know what it is that makes a couple that's gay prophetic I just don't know like what that actually is supposed to mean. But okay, and as you can see, the cosmos itself, this is what I get from this picture. It's like the cosmos itself is granting its blessing on this couple. The divine hands of the universe are bestowing its blessings on, or giving divine grace and sanction to this union between boy and boy on a slave plantation in Mississippi. I mean, you can't make this shit up, man. And look, I don't have a problem with gay folks, man. Do what you do, man. If that's something you like, man, like it. If it's something you love, man, love it. Nothing wrong with it. Do what you do. Get it in how you get it in. Okay? It is what it is, man. Do what you want to, man. And I kind of went off of it to check something real quick. But do what you want to do. But damn, while you doing it, do you have to proclaim or exclaim that somehow black men are being oppressive to you while that's occurring? Do you have to use us as a scapegoat for all of the ills and the pathology that takes place within the context of the black community? Why is that necessary? I don't get it, man. Well, actually, I do get it. And the reason why I get it and why I understand it, and because I know the origins of it, that's why I'm pissed off about it. But anyway, man, let's get into this shit. Okay? Now, whoever wrote this blurb says that The Prophets is often a lyrical and rebellious love story embedded within a tender call out to black readers. And I guess this blurb was written by Simone Martin Newberry. And I guess also she may have been the creator of this piece of art. But, okay, well, whatever. And the article is written by somebody named Danez Smith. I don't know if that's a man or a woman. I have no idea. Doesn't matter. But it's a book review. So I haven't read this book. I'm not going to read this book. Okay? But we're getting some idea of what the book is about. And you would be surprised to know that during slavery, the main antagonist of the story just so happens to be a black man. Now, how you can manage during the time of slavery to only implicate black men as being problematic in relation to black people being able to procure freedom, I don't know. I don't know. Because it looks to me as if there's a whole bunch of fucking blame that could be passed around in the context of that condition. But yet, and still, we find ourselves overwhelmingly having to deal with the problems related to black men. It always falls back on black men. So anyway, let me just start reading this, okay? It says, for me, for you, for us. Black historical fiction can salt real wounds, both fresh and inherited. I'll never forget my mother's hour of tears after she saw the film adaptation of The Hate You Gave. Now, I've never seen The Hate You Gave. I'm going to have to go check that out. Okay? I've never seen that, I must admit. The author goes on to say, or the row of us waiting stone still in the movie theater to steady our weeping, like a pew at a well-cast funeral after seeing Fruitvale Station, or my stepfather's stern shoulders broken down by Selma, or the real nightmares of Water and Scars after Beloved, or the movies, books, shows avoided because, quote, I can't really handle another slavery thing right now, unquote. Meeting yourself in media is no guarantee that the mirror will be kind or wanted. Shh. We know for a fucking fact that black men don't find the mirror in the media to be kind at all. It's like you're looking at the portrait of Dorian Gray every time you turn on one of these damn TV shows. And I don't know if you know what the portrait of Dorian Gray is, but he's a monster who looks good to everyone else. But when he looks at himself in a painting, or he looks at the painting and observes himself, so all he sees is a monstrous and distorted figure. So that's what black men encounter when they see themselves in the media. But I digress. He says, meeting yourself in the media is no guarantee that the mirror will be kind or wanted. Instead, it's often a jagged glass you catch yourself in before it catches you. And even when you know it's coming, the blood's still warm and sharp. What of me, of us, was I to witness in The Prophets, the debut novel of Robert Jones, set on an antebellum plantation in Mississippi? Now, here's what's curious about this to me. This man has not even written a book. This is a debut, but yet and still, it finds itself being promoted in none other than the reputable, illustrious New York Times. It's given a lot of press. And the question is, why is it getting so much press? Perhaps maybe it's pushing a narrative that the press is comfortable with. They're pushing a discourse that the New York Times wants to have out there, a framing about black men that it wants to promote and push. So anyway, the author goes on to say, I double-checked my wounds before I entered Jones's novel, wanting to be aware of where I was numb and where raw. I wanted to be good to myself and hopefully fair to a book I arrived at with baggage and implications. What I found was an often lyrical and rebellious love story embedded within a tender call out to black readers. Now, I don't know what what's a tender call out? I don't know. I just don't know what a tender call out is. But oh well. A soft call out. A kind of beckoning to be aware of something, I guess. Anyway, it's reaching across time and form to shake something old, mighty in the blood. I mean, that's saying, obviously, the person who wrote this book review loves this book. And I don't know what their sexual orientation is, really don't have a clue. All right? But let's dig in further. So the prophet opens with a direct address, or maybe an address that speaks right past you, depending on who you are. And I guess, this is the first few lines. Quote, you do not yet know us. You do not yet understand. Unquote. Speaking are 7 voices who, in a prologue of sorts, usher readers into the world of the prophets. A story is coming. Your story is coming. So the central story that comes is anchored by Isaiah and Samuel, 2 enslaved boys on the Halifax plantation, also known as Empty. In each other, Isaiah and Samuel find a love that brings peace to the hearts of many enslaved people on the plantation until they are betrayed by a fellow enslaved man, Amos. And see, there it goes right there. There it is. Everything was bliss on the plantation until the cantankerous Amos, who has ambitions probably more likely than not to be like a white man, fucks it all up. That's what I'm getting here, okay? So Isaiah and Samuel find love, a love that brings peace to the hearts of many enslaved people on the plantation until they are betrayed by a fellow enslaved man, Amos. Seeing the religious devotion of Paul, his often soiled, quick to cruelness master. So he's inspired by Paul. There you go right there. You got an Amos who's a Negro doing slavery, who basically is trying to mimic his master and his religion. I mean, you can't make this shit up. So seeing the religious devotion of his master and believing Christianity to be a pathway to better treatment for those enslaved, Amos approaches Paul, I want to talk to your master. I love your devotion. And I want the people to understand what you understand and I understand. And so I'm going to preach the gospel to the people on the plantation so I can be more like you, master. So anyway, man, I'm being ignorant as hell, man. But anyway, so Amos approaches Paul, offering to bring the word to those held captive on the plantation. Now, I'm not I was raised as a Catholic, man, and I could take it or leave it, man. I came to the conclusion that, Christianity was taught to black folks in a way that made them docile and made them accepting of their condition. Whereas for white folks, it serves an entirely different purpose. These people think that they are the elect of God. I learned this early on in my life. And so while I maintain spirituality, and there's no way you can eradicate all of your early upbringing, but I'm not enamored to death with the idea of Christianity. But whatever the case may be. But it is a dig on Christianity. A subtle dig. Okay. So anyway, Paul eventually sees the value in Amos's proposition and allows him to begin preaching. So he gives Amos a ministry, a task that Amos excels in, mesmerizing his fellow captives with his sermons, delivered with a musicality Paul himself admits he wouldn't have the rhythm to try. Now, let me just say this. Religion is a double-edged sword to me. And that's just how I view it. Now, you could have a more esoteric understanding of religion, and you could have a superstitious or a kind of fantasy approach to religion. Now, if I'm going to accept the truths imparted by means or by way of religion, for the most part, I'm going to accept it in terms of its esoteric meaning, not as superstitious based beliefs or belief systems or creeds or doctrines that it lays out. But it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, religion can make people docile and sheepish, and on the other hand, it can make people it can create within people a spirit of fervor, ready to destroy and conquer. In fact, if it was not for the fact that the Roman Emperor Constantine had not adopted Christianity as the official religion of Rome, we wouldn't be talking about Christianity more than likely now in the way that we are. And most of the Western world wouldn't be Christian the way that it is now. Now, those are the facts. And when he adopted Christianity as the official religion of Rome, he did not say that he's adopting this religion in order to make sure that the world is at peace. He basically came out and said, under this sign, I will conquer, or you will conquer. You will conquer people under this sign. And you want to talk about prophecy? That's prophecy. But also, religion can be used, and often was used on plantations in order to disclose, to cover up acts of subversion, of rebellion, and of insurrection. And then also, think about it. What's the reason why Amos is so popular on the plantation? Because all the other donkeys did love to hear the music, to hear the music. Is that it? Everybody loves the gay couple before Amos starts to use the gospel and start talking with the rhythm and getting the people to hooting and shouting. And before then, everything is all good. But when Amos starts speaking, who's imitating Paul, then everything just turns awry. Yeah. So anyway, that's my departure. Sorry about that. So anyway, the word begins to spread across the plantation. And where folks once saw Isaiah and Samuel as beautiful, one, a deep cavern without lamplight to guide, the other, a midnight sky, but without any stars. This new singular God and his ways, so unlike the old ways that guide and protect, rocked their black captives' sight and turned them against the two young lovers. So, in other words, Christianity is that which creates the conditions in which Isaiah and Samuel are no longer perceived as beautiful. They're seen as the source of evil, a departure from the traditional folk ways and culture of Africa. At least that's what I'm taking from this. That prior to the indoctrination of Amos by Paul, the massa, it was all good and gay and everybody was just free loving or something. Like, what the fuck is this, man? I'm confused, man. And look, I don't have a problem with gay folks. Do what you do, man. If you like it, do it. But while you're doing it, man, you don't have to try to demonize people who are heterosexual, man. And we're talking about a story within the context of slavery. And then you have a black man being the agent of oppression to a black couple. How realistic is this shit, man? To be quite honest, I find it offensive. I think it's anachronistic. We don't know what these people's opinions were about homosexuality, and we really don't have a detailed analysis of the sexual mores of people from the west coast of Africa. Well, from West Africa. Now, I'm pretty sure that there was homosexuality in Africa. I'm pretty sure there was. But damn, was it commonplace? Was it the norm? I'm not trying to deride gay folks, but why you asserting your gayness, man? Why is it necessary for you to demonize heterosexual people, man? Why? Because all too often in this culture, it's easy to do that. And it's definitely easy to attack black men and to blame them for mimeticism. It's just easy to do. Again, the white people or black people vamp being repeated like a vamp in a James Brown song. That's all this shit is. So, to Amos, his betrayal of Isaiah and Samuel is a way to protect everybody held captive on the plantation. So, stopping them from fucking each other is going to save everybody on the plantation? Like, who thinks like that other than somebody orientated towards being against what they consider to be heteronormativity? But I digress. Anyway, Isaiah and Samuel's refusal of the forced mating that the enslavers demand as a way to breed more enslaved people puts everyone, including the lovers themselves, in danger. His love for the boys, and he does love them in his own way, having carried a young Isaiah in his arms to empty when they were sold and brought to the plantation, is turned against them, a logic made by captivity. So, in other words, white culture, white society has created this unnatural heteronormativity and people's desire to promote it. People who were once loving now are turned out, as it were, by whiteness. And in particular, in this instance, Amos is turned out by whiteness because he so adores Paul, his cruel master. Come on, man. Anyway, man, here's the prophet's book art. Got a picture of a person laying on their back next to another person laying on their back. They're probably stargazing. And the universe is reaching out their hands, or the cosmic deities are stretching out their arms in order to embrace and bestow upon this gay couple all of the boons that it has to offer. And look, I don't have, like I said, I don't have a problem with gay people, man. But here's the deal: we act like gay people aren't perverse, man. Like, I'm not saying that gayness in and of itself is perverse, but you act like they don't do perverse shit. Like, because you're gay, you're fucking, like, you're moral, you're hyper moral. You're good. You got like pixie dust and shit all on you. Like, gay people don't steal shit. Like, gay people aren't violent. Like, gay people don't abuse young people. Like, gay people are just fucking like some sort of benevolent group of people. Never done anything wrong. Why do you do it? Anything wrong in your life? Because I'm gay, baby. Like, really, man? So all the pathology, any source of evil can't be rooted in gayness, because gayness is just some fucking pure shit. Come on, man. I just don't like that presentation of the concept of morality and oppression and domination, and then putting the source in just a few categorical places. It's distorted to me, but that's what we do. That's what we do. Anyway, Isaiah and Samuel's relationship is the most tender and stunning achievement of the prophets. Their beauty, the wonder of their spell, illuminates the darkness. Like, really, man? So they like to fuck each other. They got a relationship amongst each other, and that's some beautiful, wonderful shit. Like, I mean, it's the same shit that you see in these romantic movies or romantic novels. Like, come on, man. What kind of fantasy shit is this? I live in the real world, man. I know what it's like to have relationships with people, whether they're your mother, your father, your daughters, your sons, whatever the case may be, your uncles, your cousins. There's nothing ideal, man. Ain't nothing that fucking magical. Whether it be with a straight couple or a fucking gay couple. Ain't nobody without their problems, man. Nobody. But I guess this is all the source of everything magical, right? This gay couple. Anyway, willingness radiated off them in heat, one character, Adam, thinks. No matter where they buried him, if they buried him, chances were that he would probably die at the end of a noose and swung from a tree before being lit aflame and foraged for parts. He would be aglow with the possibility he was shown, not the residual embers of an unkind torch. What is so adored at first and then corroded in the eyes of others by Amos is Isaiah and Samuel's choice to love. Their consent, their choosing and choosing and choosing of each other, a choice outside of force or order, in a nature we have long forgotten. Like, really, man? So you act like there's no problems even amongst gay couples, man. Everything is just free and shit. Like, I just don't like the idealism, and then I don't like the narrative that somehow Amos is corrupted because he's trying to be like a white dude. I just don't like that shit, man. I'm going back to the OBS. So I just don't dig it, man. And let me get my shit right, man. I'm going to the main scene here. It took me some time. I'm still fumbling around with this program, trying to figure out all its intricacies. So you have to bear with me if I'm a little slow from time to time. But at any rate, that's what I see, man. And I want to give a shout out to everybody who's donated to the stream thus far. I want to give a shout out to Barry Little. I want to give a shout out to Malika Mabane, to Jeff Rugaita, to 7Q Pitt and Corey Green and Terrence Foster. And so, you know, the only thing I wanted to do was talk about this and discuss it in the context of the way black men are depicted and they're portrayed in the culture at present. And again, I don't have a problem with whatever love they choose to express. I don't. But while you're expressing your love, don't use black men as a scapegoat to talk about how you're unable to express your love. Because it's not just black men who, quote unquote, are homophobic. You got a lot of black women. One case in point recently. Look how people drag Kevin Samuels in the media on YouTube and started to talk negatively about him and to say all kind of shit about him being gay. Who mainly was the ones doing this? After he said some things about this woman, I can't even remember the woman's name. But who were the ones mostly saying shit? It was a bunch of black women calling him gay and he's suspect and all this kind of shit. That's what I saw. I'm just being 100. Uh-oh, you see the gorilla? BGS, he ain't in here right now, but I guess a whole bunch of alerts are about to start popping up. They do it when people renew. But at any rate, that's just my thoughts on this whole book. And the thing that vexes me about it more than anything else, for real, is that we don't have a counter for this. We don't have an answer for this the way we should. I mean, we do have an answer to some degree, but we don't have the kind of answer that's balanced in the media. You don't see the balance in the academy. You don't see the balance in works of art. You don't see the balance. It's time for some balance to be restored. And I'm not attacking people, okay? I'm just attacking these ideals that depict black men as mimetic white men and who, in doing so, usher in oppression, domination, violence, and powerlessness for everybody else but themselves. That's not reality. And we need to stop depicting black men in this way, or we need to at least challenge these kind of depictions of black men. So at any rate, I'm not gonna hold you forever. But usually I do long shows, but there's no way for you to actually chime in. Please support the channel if you can. I'm about to sign off. But I'm using OBS now. I just wanted to remind you of that so you can't come in. I think I'm about to terminate my StreamYard account because I don't find it useful anymore. And I also want to alert people to the fact that OBS is absolutely free. If you do stream, you have shows of your own, it's absolutely free. You don't have to pay a copper red cent for it. Okay? And there's also a free platform online by the name of OBS Ninja. Now, don't pretend to have any knowledge about OBS Ninja at this time. I don't know jack shit about it. But what I do know about it is that it can do what StreamYard does, even though you have to do a little more work. But it does what StreamYard does, and it's fucking free. It doesn't cost a copper red cent. And, hey, I'm paying $300 a year for StreamYard. I'm about to cut that cost. But anyway, having said all that, man, I'll holler at y'all later. Peace. I'm out this joint.
I know you player haters gon' hate, cause I'm at the finish line and I'm in the first place. I'm a winner, and I know I'll never lose, cause I'm way too ahead of you, dude. I know you player haters gon' hate, cause I'm at the finish line and I'm in the first place. I'm a winner, and I know I'll never lose, cause I'm way too ahead of you, dude. I'm coming in. Okay, here I go. Guaranteed to be the leader of the race, come in first place. Put the pedal to the metal, let it burn, then I blow up in your face for the boom of the big bass. Turn around, nigga, back face. Nigga, turn up the track, leave you hurt with a burnt face. Fuck a nigga, cause he gon' hate. Put some pippin' in his cup, set him out for the date rate. I go, I blaze, throw grenades in the party till I'm clearing out the whole place. Who got that rock money loan? You can hear it in my tone that I own, you don't know me. Better run, nigga, bustle like a gun, ain't a motherfucker a nigga that can hold me. I'm tired of niggas sucking, find your bitch so she can blow me. Ain't nobody never changed like the young boy, many my boys, and he hit like a donkey. And he roll with a convoy with them hot toys. If you really wanna get it jumping. I blow that monkey, that hairy back green gorilla. Take it through the nose, put it on my mind, I'm a beast like Michael Jackson Thriller. Your boys are tripping, I ain't hearing till you're speaking something. Don't do too much because your pussies always do it for me. Yeah, get it good, get it like I should. All the hating motherfuckers better keep it coming. Put them all in a barn, throw a bomb, and that motherfucker leave they body slumping.
I know you player haters gon' hate, cause I'm at the finish line and I'm in the first place.
I'm a winner, and I know I'm